that we have also put in place plans to deal with our impending arrival. Obviously, I take very seriously the role of becoming a mum, as does Clark becoming a dad, but we equally take seriously the role that I've taken on as Prime Minister of New Zealand. That means that I will be taking 6 weeks of leave after the baby's arrival in mid-June. I've already spoken to the Deputy Prime Minister and asked that he take on the duties and functions of the Office of Prime Minister while I'm away, but we'll be working together through that time, as we do together now. After those 6 weeks, I'll be coming back on deck, and Dad will be...
Yes.
Dad will be taking over duties as the full-time caregiver. Where possible, Clark will be travelling with me a lot, but we'll also recognise that we are very lucky, very privileged that we're in a position where, like so many other parents, will be juggling the caring roles, but we are privileged and lucky that Clark will be able to do that job full-time. I am not the first woman to multitask. I'm not the first woman to work and have a baby. I know these are special circumstances, but there'll be many women who will have done this well before I have. I acknowledge those women. I am about to sympathise with them a lot, as I sympathise with all women who suffered morning sickness. But I'm excited, we're excited, and we know together that we're going to make this work, and New Zealand is going to help us raise a first child.
Are you planning to find out the baby's gender?
We already know, but we decided that there's very little in our lives now that is secret or that's just for us. So we're going to keep it to ourselves, and we're having a little wager as to who's going to blow it.
Any ideas around names yet?
I expect we'll be like every other couple and argue about this for the next 6 months.
Yeah, it's fair to
Don't
say.
worry, they're not good plants. Just roll on in there. That's all good.
Can you tell us about when you found out what your reaction was?
Yeah, so I found out on the 13th of October. It was a Friday night. I was away from Clark at that time, as we were trying to juggle the negotiating period with the fact that Clark was filming for his fishing show. I found out our surprise, and as I tend to share all our big news, I Facebooked you, but on this occasion, because it was of a pretty big magnitude, I used the video function so that we could speak face to face. And I told you that way. I think you were in the bathroom.
I'd slipped
Not
away.
the toilet, I should make that
No,
clear.
no.
The bathroom.
I'd slipped away quietly to take the call. I was like, why is she calling? Because
We just got off the phone to each other.
Yes, and then it was quite the reveal and shock.
Yes.
And how are you feeling now?
Oh, awesome. Now, we've had a good amount of time to sort of...
He's felt awesome the whole time.
Yeah, wow.
Tell first, Winston or your parents?
But parents. We did get parents in first, and I think Winston would understand that. Yeah.
You found out in the middle of coalition negotiations, obviously, before Winston Peters had decided to go with Labour. I mean, was that playing in the back of your mind as it came down to those final crunch days?
I'm a human. Whose mind wouldn't it play on? Absolutely. But we kept that to ourselves. We didn't share it with anyone around that negotiating table because, of course, you know, in those early stages you just don't know. And so it was something that we kept to ourselves for a very, very long time. But I'd like to think, though, that, you know, the New Zealand public pretty much knew our hopes. We didn't know for sure if it would ever be a reality for us, but we'd like to think we'd always been open about our plans for the future.
Do you think, how will the public react to Winston Peters as acting Prime Minister for 6 weeks?
Oh, look, he's played that role before. When I go overseas, he plays that role. That's not unusual. The only thing that will be unusual is instead of being out of the country, I'll be in Point Chief.
Can you tell us what's your reaction?
This whole time? I guess you've been tricky.
There's been elements that have been tricky. I had a bit of morning sickness that made it a bit tricky, but otherwise it hasn't been too bad. Has it?
Yeah, no, well, it was one of those things where you couldn't, we had to be very careful about who you told, because it was such an enormous secret for them to hang on to. And it was much like finding out the gender of the baby. It was something that I like the idea of being able to keep it to ourselves for as long as possible.
6 days later, you found out you were PM.
Yes.
Massive week for you.
Yes.
How was that with both of those things happening at the same time?
Well, I felt like we set a pretty high bar for juggling a range of issues very early on. But you just had to get on with it. Lots of people deal with things in their personal lives and things going on in their work lives. Lots of people have to deal with compartmentalising all of those things. I just happened to be doing that in a very public way. I did think, gosh, there'll be people who, when I tell them what was going on in my mind, who'll think that's a good yarn.
Do you think this will be the first time a politician has gone 9 months without drinking?
No, it's probably not. I hadn't even thought about that. Probably not, but yeah.
How are you going to juggle the role of being a mum and PM? Obviously, former Green MP Holly Walker has written very honestly about the struggles she had while she was in Parliament and also raising a child.
Gosh, look, and she had other layers as well to deal with. And I acknowledge all families who do that. But like I say, we're also very privileged in the fact that, like many other couples, where one goes back to work, I just happen to be the one that's going back, and we're lucky enough to be able to have Clark alongside our friends and family who are all offering to help. In fact, I told Cabinet this morning I'd be setting a roster.
And obviously, Premier House is pretty big.
There's plenty of space. I don't know how the government cars will feel about having a baby seat in them though, but yeah.
Have you considered moving to Wellington? There's a large house there.
Yeah. Oh, look, this is home. This is where our friends are and our family are closer here. But look, we'll see how we go. We'll see how it works for us. And what I know is that lots of people make plans and then change them up a bit. So we'll see how we go. But for now, we're staying. And this, of course, is my electorate as well.
You've spoken about the fact that you were told that you'd had trouble conceiving. That's something that you actually didn't have to share with the world. Why did you share that? Is this kind of a nod to other couples maybe going through the same thing?
Yeah, a little bit of that. A little bit of the fact that, look, I had to acknowledge it was a surprise for us. Probably people would look at the timing and think, I wonder if that was a surprise. I need to put emphasis, because no doubt this child in the future will look back on the comments I make, a happy surprise that we are very excited about, but a surprise nonetheless. And yes, I mean, I won't go into a whole lot of detail about that, but enough to say that, we had been told that we'd need some help.
And you hadn't sorted out that help already. It was 100% a surprise, as you say.
It was 100% a surprise. We had seen some people about this issue, but as soon as I became leader, that all went on the back burner.
Tell us about Mr. Peter's reaction.
Oh, he was great. He was great, and passed on his warm congratulations. And then we just went into the mode of planning how we would manage it together as a government. So yeah, no, he was wonderful.
So will it change, how the government runs at all in terms of where cabinet meets or how much time you spend here versus Wellington?
No, that's not my intention.
So you're the second Prime Minister globally, so it sounds like to fall pregnant in your time of leadership.
Yes.
Would you say you're almost kind of a trailblazer? Do you think people will look at leadership in a different light now? Obviously, things change as we move on into the future.
Oh, there's no doubt time changes the environment that we work in. I have to acknowledge, of course, I'm not the first. And, Jenny Shipley was a mum in office as well. Her children were younger when she was a minister and a bit older when she was PM. And as I say, I'm very careful about the fact that there are plenty of women who have multitasked, and I've had a few messages already, messages of support from women who did things like had twins.
About the fact that this has just been talked about so widely on either sides of that.
Oh, look, I absolutely accept, I can hardly blame anyone. I'm the one announcing I'm having a baby. I absolutely accept it's an area of interest. But this will not be the only milestone of this year, or by any means the only milestone of this government. I want us to be known for what we achieve for New Zealanders. This will just be another addition to the history of this government.
Do you plan to travel as a family overseas on state visits and that sort of thing?
Yeah, we've already had a little look at the travel schedule. Thankfully, actually, we don't have to change travel plans. I will still be fulfilling all of my functions up until the baby's due. After that, it's likely that Clark will travel alongside me.
Who will be Prime Minister if Mr Peters is overseas while he's acting for you?
I asked him whether or not he had any overseas travel, and he said he would prioritise making sure he was available for that 6-week period. And so I don't believe that will necessarily be an issue over that period, but otherwise it defaults as it does through the rankings.
What do you have to say to people who might question whether you'll be able to juggle being a new mother and being Prime Minister?
Oh, that I don't underestimate, of course, that it will take work, but as I say, I have a lot of support around me. And, you know, I'd say to those people, none of them detected I had pretty bad morning sickness for 3 months of establishing a government, so...
Will you introduce the baby to Margaret Jackson?
Why not?
On another story, but I will make it related.
I'm looking forward to seeing this.
So it figures out today showing it'll cost parents $38,000 for a state education for their children. Are you concerned about that cost?
For a state education for their children. We've always been concerned about whether or not free education meant free education. There are elements of our policy that are geared towards that, around donations in particular. So that has been a focus for us for some time.
In terms of you're taking 6 weeks off, I mean, by any standards as a new mother, that's actually not that much time. Putting all your Prime Minister duties aside, is it going to be tough for you to sort of part ways and go back to work?
Look, I hear lots of stories about women who face that dilemma at various stages, regardless of when they go back. I have to acknowledge, though, that my job is different. My job is demanding. People have placed faith in me and given me a mandate. So I have to make sure that I'm juggling both that new role, but also fulfilling my duties to New Zealand at the same time.
Are we likely to see a baby on your hip during question time?
Oh, no, because Trevor would grab it before I'd have a chance. Look, I haven't really given all of that too much thought. I wouldn't rule anything in or out, but I can tell you that Trevor Mallard is the kind of speaker who would encourage and has already tried to encourage a family-friendly environment.
Have you spoken to Willow Jean Prime and Kitty Allen about how they're juggling motherhood and being a politician?
Oh, I have, but actually more from the position of making sure that as a leader I knew they were doing okay. I'm interested in their well-being. They're forging a path as well. But I've had a message from Willow Jean, really supportive. I had a brief chat with Kitty. They're both really supportive.
Have you talked to any former cabinet ministers or MPs who, like Catherine Rich or Holly Walker, about how this affected them?
I've talked to both Holly and Catherine, but without this knowledge. So some time ago, I have had a few messages from Holly this morning, which is lovely. And I've had messages from Dame Jenny Shipley, which I really appreciate, just acknowledging the news and giving her support. So I thought that was lovely.
And you've had a call from Malcolm Turnbull.
Helen sent me a message as well.
You've had a call with Malcolm Turnbull this morning, as well as a congratulations. Were you just sort of allaying any concerns about how the trans-Tasman relationship might go from here?
No, it was just purely a call about kids and grandkids, actually. It was really nice. Yeah, he just called to offer his congratulations and the congratulations of his wife, and we talked about seeing each other in March.
And who else did you tell before telling New Zealand?
Oh, not many. Tried to sneak in a handful of family and friends. Made sure that I gave a heads up to the Governor General, to the Cabinet Office, to make sure we were covering everything we needed to, and to, of course, Winston Peters and James Shaw as leaders of our support parties. I also called together the ministers this morning and told them in a call before it was made public. So a few people, but not a huge number.
This may seem like
can I just ask, what sort of father would you like?
It's a big canvas at this stage. I'm just looking forward to diving into all aspects of the roles. I've got obviously. I've got a lot of female friends who are already texting me with lots of advice and catch-ups and bits and pieces, so I can't wait to see what it involves. It's one of those things, you can read all the books you like, but until you're there doing it, it's something that you're not going to understand how it all works. But no, I'm pretty excited. And I've got some sisters who are going to be pretty happy about things too.
How soon will you be taking the baby fishing?
It's a very good question. We've already had front pack discussions and the manoeuvrability of it. I think initially it's going to be really important that Jacinda gets to spend as much time. So I'm going to try and be as flexible as possible and make sure that we're always pretty close and that she's across whatever's going on and whatever bad learning habits I'm already imparting.
Did you choose how to compose the Instagram post?
No, we came up with that together, right?
Yeah, and only this morning we were going, through all of the things,
I saw a friend did one with safety pins.
Oh, great.
And so we, Clark engineered, got out his fishing tackle box, and on the table we just arranged something. It's quite hard.
Also, it'll have to be tucked away.
valid, yeah.
This might be a difficult question, but have you considered getting married?
Clark?
Wow. No. I like the idea that we're doing everything in reverse. We bought a house together, then we're having a baby, and we'll see.
Is there anything about being a stay-at-home dad that's really daunting to you?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's a great unknown. But I'm just looking forward to it. But yeah, it's one of those things where you just take it day by day, and 6 months from now, go, whew, can't believe we got through that.
Are you concerned about your child being in the public spotlight for the next few years?
And you think about that, and I've watched other MPs, and people have dealt with it in different ways, and I think that's something that we'll just have a conversation with as we go. I mean, we have to be realistic about it. We're in the public eye. It's going to be difficult to be completely away from that, but we'll try and make good decisions on their behalf.
Do you think the baby will become a DJ as well?
Not if I can help it.
The Fisher person is probably the more compulsory part.
Any idea on podcast?
Oh gosh, no, haven't even thought about that. No.
Is it going to be a gay fit or an Ardern
I just think that the double barrel there is probably getting a bit complicated. So, yeah, probably likely a gay fit. I'll probably try and sneak in my name somehow.
And why announce today? What's the significance of today for you?
I had to announce eventually. There's only so long you can say you were eating too many Christmas pies.
Yeah,
so
I was showing from about 12 weeks. So eventually we had to say, and this felt as good a time as any. We're getting straight back into our work agenda as of Sunday with our caucus retreat. So I thought we'd put this out there, and then I'm open to talk to my colleagues in a bit more detail when I see them.
How bad was the morning sickness during the time you were filming the
I know people who have been a lot worse. Of course, my mum's stories were a lot worse. But I let's just say I did not feel well. Yes.
Did you think you were just having a bit of a sickness at that point, or did you know?
No, I knew before I was sick. That was a joy that greeted me somewhat down the track.
We were pretty apprehensive in the lead up, going
about how bad it was.
Yeah, going please don't get morning sickness. Yeah, and then are you feeling it's all right? Maybe it's a flu. No, it's pretty consistent.
Yeah.
How did you do that? How did you sort of set up the government and have morning sickness and all that stuff at the same time?
It's what ladies do, Bernard.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Have you made any plans about where and how you deliver?
No, I mean, look, more, or how, with the
Really
same
was the last
difficulty that all
question.
women do. Likely to be in Auckland, but we'll prepare for scenarios, because, look, I do have the intention of being in Parliament and working right up until we're ready to go. So I'll have to make some contingency plan for that. Yeah.
Do you think this is sort of like the royal baby of New Zealand? That's what people are talking about. That put a lot of pressure on them.
Look, there's pressure that comes with this job regardless. I think other people will decide what title they give it. But we're pretty honest about the fact that it'll probably be a child that's raised by a village, a very large one.
Speaking of royalty, I know you previously said that you'd love to receive an invite to the upcoming royal wedding. Does this mean if you do,
It's impossible.
you won't be able to get
Absolutely. So it'd probably be worse to get one and then have to decline it. Yes, in jest, I certainly have joked about it, but that's certainly not a realistic prospect. Equally, I never saw it as being particularly realistic because I'll be representing New Zealand at the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting. That's the priority, and that's in April, and I couldn't justify another trip.
So do you have a spare invite or?
Yes, yes. Yeah, there'll be a lottery. No, at this stage, I haven't been put in that awkward position. Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks very much. Thanks, everyone. Yeah, thank you.
That sounds good. Yeah. So we've got the first one-on-one is not until 10:30.